so much songs here. Huh?
You're still listening to Kumbang channel, and special for tonight's Ktnewsmacau, here are some flash news. Some shopping options and a few recreational activities at the Lisboeta, including a zip line and indoor skydiving, are set to open from the 17th of July onwards. Hong Kong-Macau border opening has been put on hold due to Hong Kong's recent new positive COVID-19 cases. Macau is adamant that Hong Kong must record another 28 days of zero local diagnosis of COVID-19 case. EU has recently lifted its travel restrictions and Macau has been put on the safe list. However, Macau does not intend to reciprocate lifting travel restrictions for EU. Local gaming operator Sociedade de Jogos de Macau has recently changed its name to SJM Resorts. And for some updates overseas, Indonesia has officially reached over 2 million of positive COVID-19 cases. Former Philippine President Benigno Aquino III, otherwise known as Noynoy, 2 days ago passed away in his sleep at the age of 61, reportedly due to diabetes. Hong Kong Airlines has recently laid off 700 local and overseas employees. And as for the weather, cloudy with some rainy periods predicted for tomorrow and Tuesday, while the rest of the week it will be cloudy with some sunny periods. Local temperature within this coming week will range from 27 to 33 degrees Celsius. For more info about the local weather, visit www.smg.gov.mo. And now, continuing our talks last Sunday regarding local traffic conditions nowadays, we got a guest tonight with us. Hi, Naib, how are you?
Hey, I'm great, Beto. Thank you for inviting me.
Well, thank you so much for coming in. Yeah, I'm good. And, thank you for coming in to share with us your experience, well, maybe experiences, regarding the local traffic conditions. As you know, I invited you due to my own recent experience as well, having almost got hit by a taxi, not just me, my wife and my son, but good thing nothing bad happened except for the part that he was just about half a meter away from hitting us. But yeah, that just basically encouraged me to start this talk. And last week we had a guest over as well talking about this, so I called that part 1 and tonight is part 2. And so we covered most of the experiences part, okay? So I'm not going to talk much about the experience part for myself, but because you need to talk tonight on our subject, tonight's subject would be more on the suggestions, what you and me and, maybe by Johnson even here, what we think would be great to have for the local traffic conditions here in Macau, some suggestions, but for you to make some suggestions, you need to base those on your experience. I've done that last week, so you haven't done that. So I think you can kick it off with your experiences regarding the traffic conditions in Macau.
All right, thank you. Actually, I came here because I'm very concerned, as you are, with a lot of incidents that have happened very much in the last 2 years, I would say. I have noticed that the Macau drivers in all levels, you could say bus drivers, you could say taxi drivers, you could say private drivers. I mean, our own friends, our own neighbors. I mean, anybody. I've seen that they're not respecting the zebras too much. I've seen that everybody is very rushed. I've seen that people also, the pedestrians themselves, they are also, like distracted because sometimes mobile phones, sometimes because of lack
So it's not just the drivers, it's also the pedestrians.
Yeah, but of course, I would say, no, that is just a very fair comment that I've just made. But to be fair, what I've noticed is that drivers are in the blame here the most.
Most of the time, yeah. And so can you tell a little bit about your own personal experience then regarding this situation that you've just described?
Oh yeah, what I'm gonna be like very straightforward as I can. What I've noticed is basically, drivers, bus drivers, they are a problem. Okay, they usually, they stop in the zebra. Yes, that's correct. They see you, they're looking at you, while you cross. But at the moment that your feet is like, almost over the, like, not almost, I would say like 1 meter from the sidewalk, they start accelerating no matter what. Okay, it doesn't matter where you are, it doesn't matter what is your speed, what is your position, your angle, it doesn't matter, they start accelerating immediately. I don't know if because they are pressured to fulfill the timeline quotas, or I mean they have a punch card, I don't know what it is, but they accelerate, and that is the danger,
That's
because
true. Yeah.
you are not expecting that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And even when it's raining, and what happened was last time, the worst experience was I had to throw my son over the sidewalk barriers near the Manhattan building, very very thick.
That happened at the same time, at the same place with me and my wife and my son as well.
Yeah,
right
that's a
in front of the
hotspot,
Manhattan.
Yeah, that's a hotspot.
The one right outside the Supreme supermarket.
Exactly.
Oh my, yeah.
That's a hotspot, and
That's zebra cross, right?
exactly.
Yeah.
And to be honest, I had to throw my son, like over the speed of light, because if I didn't react that quick, he would be dead right now. He wouldn't be waiting at home, maybe listening to me and you speaking.
That's terrible.
Yeah, that would have been the case.
Well, I'm glad you're listening to us now.
Yeah.
What's his name?
His name is Dante.
Hey Dante, how are you? Okay, move on.
Yeah, and then there was another incident that was also serious with a taxi, that I had to scream to him like, like you scream in a Walking Dead scenario, that kind of screaming, and he was petrified by my scream. But that was what saved him, because he was with the mother, and the mother was crossing with him a little bit far away from me. I was carrying groceries. And I had to scream so loud, they both stopped, and that was what saved them.
That's right. Yeah.
From death.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because the taxi driver just flew.
Of course. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh my, that's terrible. Well, funny that you mentioned, last week we didn't cover that actually, but I agree with you. It's not just the bus driver or the taxi driver. It's basically because, ever since I had my own experience, I started just, observing a little bit more, and it's true. It's like it's a lot of drivers in Macau, they just do this nowadays. They don't care about people, walking past the zebra cross, and so I developed now, over just the past 2 weeks, developed now a habit of like, I would not move at all. Even if I know I'm going to be late, I'm just going to wait until somebody actually stops for me. Because for me, I will always, most of the times right now, I will always be with my 2-year-old boy. So, I can't push his stroller fast enough, you know what I mean? So I'd rather just wait, But it's true, it is terrible that a lot of these drivers, they just keep doing that, But to be fair, as we discussed last week, I know that, some of them, some of the drivers, they're probably frustrated as well, because I drive as well, and sometimes I do get frustration when how some pedestrians, they know that we're rushing, and then we actually stop for them, and they could see that we are stopping for them already, and they just kind of like walk slowly, and sometimes even slower, Nevertheless,
but there's a reason, okay? I'm sorry that I interrupt you there, because I want to give you the last example, okay, if you allow me. There was one person that he speaks English like you and me. I believe so. And one time I was hurt on my leg because I fell down, and my leg, I was injured. I was walking very slowly, and I was crossing on that very same zebra that we were talking about just a while ago, and he started to basically show me all the finger language that you can imagine in this world.
Who is this again? Sorry.
One driver,
okay,
driver,
yeah.
And I'm sure that he speaks English like you and me, and he was
a private driver.
Yes, yes.
Okay, yeah.
And he was so rude, and and he was asking me to cross faster.
Yeah.
And I gotta say something. You know, when you cross the zebra as a pedestrian, you cannot run.
Yeah,
You
yeah.
cannot walk
Of
fast
course, yeah,
because that's dangerous. Okay.
yeah,
Especially when you're walking with
Yeah.
children.
Yeah.
You need to keep a steady pace.
yeah, yeah,
But not a rush pace,
Yeah,
because
yeah.
if you fall down
Yeah.
and somebody suddenly accelerates,
Yeah.
or there's an accident, then
Yeah.
you are the one that's going to lose
Yeah,
it. So,
yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, that's true. No, no, in your case, totally. Like, I understand you. Like, but like I'm talking about sometimes, not all the time.
Yeah.
You'd find some people
Yeah.
who probably they're not really from here either, and then they would just walk, like you say, cross the zebra cross using
Yeah.
the mobile phone, and they
Yeah.
would sometimes even stop, like not in the middle of the zebra cross, but they're not yet. On the other side, and they just kind of slow down even more, and
Yeah.
so these people, they make the drivers frustrated as
Yeah.
well. Nevertheless, I agree it should not be an excuse for drivers to just, speed up as they
Yeah.
like, because at the end of the day, the pedestrians are fragile. At the
Yes.
fragile part. So I mean, you've got this metal, moving metal, kind of, you're driving this car, and then it's so easy for you to just hit
It's a
someone, right?
transformer versus,
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
you know?
So I agree. Now I mean, this is the situation right now. I mean, the Macau that I experienced before when I was little, it was not like that. I mean, people still even did stop,
Exactly.
for people to walk. But anyway, we're here. I don't think we want to waste time talking about the past, but I think we can talk about the future. And I don't think it's that late for Macau to change. At least if there are drivers out there who are listening to us right now, and you're willing to change, and you start making the change, I think
Yeah.
that would be better. You know what I mean? But not only that, I think I think it would be great as well if we have some suggestions, that we can have here in Macau. I know this is not a formal forum, but maybe we can start the talk now. Maybe then people can start talking about that.
Yeah, maybe
in
you can light the
Macau.
fire. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So what do you think? Like, what do you think? What kind of suggestions do you have in mind?
Well, I think that that's a very good point. What you said, we need to move. We need to be moving forward rather than backwards. We should always check that the traffic has stopped. I mean, before you start to cross, or you push your.
So this
stroller.
is for the pedestrians, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay.
We should always check the traffic,
Agree,
because
yeah.
we are the vulnerable.
That's right, yeah,
Agents here.
yeah.
So we need to be more careful.
Yeah, that's
and,
right.
We always need to cross between the studs or over the zebra markings. I mean, do not cross at the side of the crossing or on the zigzag lines, as it could be dangerous. Like recently, those two kids that got hurt
Yeah.
by the bus. This is what happened. So I think this is something that we need to mention.
Is there anything else that you want to add for suggestion?
Yeah. I think drivers. I mean,
From driver's side.
drivers, they need to be responsible. They
Yeah.
need to think, like you said, this is metal versus flesh,
Mm.
and flesh will always lose.
That's right. Yeah.
So it could be your grandmother, it could be your
Yeah,
nephew,
yeah,
it
yeah.
could be your cousin,
Yeah,
it
yeah.
could be your high school
Yeah.
friend
Exactly.
that is crossing. It could be somebody that you don't know, but it could lend you
That's
a hand
right.
tomorrow.
That's why last week I mentioned this during our talk last
Yeah.
week. I know that some pedestrians, they're at fault. I know that.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, even if they're at fault, they're, like you say, they're vulnerable, okay? They're fragile. You crush them, boom, that's it. They're just gone, right?
Yeah.
And at the end of the day, people could probably point their fingers at those pedestrians at fault. But if the situation is like this, that actually happens to your loved ones, your grandmother, your grandfather, your children, would
Yeah.
you still point your finger telling your own children that you're the one at fault? Even if really your children actually are at fault, you wouldn't. So that's the reason why I agree with you. So it's better that we all act together and try to put a stop in this, because one of these days it could happen to our loved ones.
Exactly. It
Yeah.
almost happened to you and me.
Yeah,
already.
exactly, yeah.
And we are two people that live.
And it could
very
happen to you
nearby.
guys as well if you're
Yeah.
listening to this,
Yeah, it could happen to anyone.
Yeah. Now, also though, I'm thinking, I mean, in regards of the whole traffic situations here, then we're talking about traffic regulations, road rules, right? I'm not sure about you, but I actually also I haven't seen, two clearly about the road rules here. I mean, we know, the whole general, rules and regulations about the traffic system here. However, as we see, a lot of things have been, a lot of people break the rules. Yeah, and so, but then also, in a couple of countries overseas, they actually, put a lot of signs on the road, and the fine even, they put it there, right? So do you think this would be a great idea to put in Macau as well? I mean, the rules are there, but people just break the rules because probably they're ignorant about the rules.
Well, that's a good point. I think, especially, that is one of the best points that you said tonight.
Like for example, in Australia, like they even have this signs that if you drink driving, and you could end up in jail. They actually put that, like an advertisement,
Yeah, even
and they
China,
do a lot of advertisement.
Even in China.
There you go. See?
Yeah, because I remember in Beijing.
In Hong Kong also they do that, right?
In Hong Kong, everywhere.
So do you think it'd be great if we have it in Macau?
In US, I mean, everywhere you go, you will see this kind of signatures. So I think that, to be honest, near the schools here, especially where small children, which are the most vulnerable of all the population, they should have, like 50 meters away a signature. Hey, 50 meters school. I mean, or children crossing, or 30 meters.
That would be great.
10 meters. I mean, this kind of gradual imagery, so you can have like a hint or like a cue. Okay, I gotta slow down. I gotta be careful, and there's no excuse because only zebra is not the point. When you hit somebody from the back, it's your fault, mate.
Yeah,
isn't it?
It is. Yeah.
So if you hit somebody, and you're driving a bus, and he's a he's a child. I mean, I'm not going to be debating who is guilty.
Yeah.
Yeah. So we all know.
That's right. Yeah.
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 So.
Okay. And another thing, what about the traffic lights? Maybe do you think there's a need to add more traffic lights in some particular roads that are considered main? Like for example, I think the exact place that we're talking about now, right outside Manhattan, I believe they need to put traffic light there.
Well, I'm not an expert on this, so I cannot really say. I cannot really say, but I would say that maybe a bump will be very effective.
Yeah, but then that's kind of like a main road though. Like you don't really put a hump
before that zebra crossing there, because that's such a hotspot.
Yeah.
I would put a bump. I don't know. That's what I think, but you never know.
Well, these are some of the things that could be suggestions, right?
Yeah.
Well, I'm hoping that this would at least encourage people to talk more about this outside and.
People to drive better.
Yeah, and people to drive better, and pedestrians also, like you say, to make sure before they walk past the zebra cross, they just kind of really make sure, check around that everything's fine, So otherwise, one of these days, all these things that we've been talking about could happen to you guys as well. Okay. Yeah. Well, anyway, we don't have enough time anymore, but thank you so much for coming in, Naib, and I'm hoping that you're going to be able to join us again sometimes in the future. Any last word that you want to say?
Well, I just want to say to my son Dante, I love you very much. Beto, to your son, I hope he's always safe. And to all the people that are listening, please take care of your children. Take care of the society that we live in. Take care of your roads. Take care of the pedestrians, the drivers, everyone, for a better future. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much, Naib. Well, let's get back to our music. Still from Holy Valence. This is Over and Out at Kumbang channel. Kumbang, kumpul bareng yo.